Robbie, you've got India making strides back to the moon.
Truth, lies,
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, if you weren't aware, Friday afternoon, July 14th, the ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, successfully launched the Chandrayaan-3 Moon Lander and Rover mission. And now it's going to take about 42 days for it to reach the moon. So, this mission is the successor to the Chandrayaan-2 mission, which launched successfully in 2019 but crashed during its landing attempt. If successful on this attempt, India would join the ranks of Russia, the United States, and China in achieving a controlled lunar landing. So, huge accomplishment for a nation. The 2019 launch cost $140 million US, while the 2023 mission cost $75 million. So, inflation wasn't a factor in rolling out the new rocket, and they were able to do it for less than the cost of a blockbuster movie. I think that Blade Runner 2049 had a $75 million budget. Crazy.
Oh wow.
Right? So, in contrast, NASA's Viper lunar rover mission, scheduled to launch in November of 2024, was initially costed at $250 million, but has already increased to $435 million. The Artemis 3 mission, which is to put man on the moon again for the first time in 50 years, has seen its budget blow up to $13 billion. That's right, with a B, my friends. So I've got to know, like, at this time, is it time to outsource space exploration? Because these price differences are staggering.
I thought they've been doing that.
Let's start with Gianni.
I thought they should have been doing that. Like, why are you taking our money? Are you serious?
How many days, out of curiosity, how many days did you just say it's going to take for the rover to get to the moon? You said 42?
42 days. 42 days for it to arrive. Yeah.
I just want
impressive.
Go ahead, Gianni.
Mm-hmm.
So, initially reading the article, knowing the spending and budget for these space exploration, like just that they're in the billion-dollar budgets, it started triggering my sense of survival, because it's like there's still so much more. And I know that this is kind of off topic, but there's so much more to fund other than space exploration. And I know that a part of taxpayers' money. Yeah. Wait,
no, there's nothing else to fund.
No.
That's it. That's all we should be funding.
Yeah, no. Housing, the inflation prices, the deadly virus that we still don't talk about anymore. Like, there's so much that the child trafficking, there's so much that we don't fund and research into. But space exploration, we're all for it. We're putting billions of dollars and giving Elon Musk money, and no, I'm tired of it. I don't think
wait a minute, I just want to correct one thing. I don't know that we're giving Elon Musk money.
That was a private venture.
Yeah.
But
that is
if he comes
different.
up with a good design and patent, then he can sell that.
Right. That's
he can sell it to NASA, exactly. But in essence,
well, no, not necessarily to NASA, but to the world.
Oh.
So one of the things. So basically, NASA uses a lot of the technology that they develop. They license it out, so they, that's how they fund some of their projects. So, what did they develop? Like Tempur-Pedic. They developed, I think.
Oh, okay.
There's some other things that the space foam. There's a few other technologies that they developed as part of their studies, and then they do make a little bit of money off of that.
From those things.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And so Robbie is saying that Elon Musk can do the same thing, and they make billions of dollars from whatever he ends up creating that's brand new.
But the question is, are taxpayers like you and I who pay our taxes, are we paying for some of this space exploration?
I mean, we're paying for the Artemis project.
Of course you're funding it.
We're funding all of it. We're funding the NASA projects. We're funding some of the projects that Elon Musk is working on to some degree. It's just not a direct funding. So we're not giving him money to do things. It's more support. So
no, not Elon Musk. I was kind of being funny with that. But I meant more so in general space.
But yes, the taxpayers are paying for this. So the billions of dollars that Robbie is talking about, the taxpayers are fitting the bill for that.
And I'm saying we should reallocate those funds, because.
So we should
But
not
I'm
be.
curious.
Wait, you're saying altogether, just stop exploring space.
No, because I was opposing to that. You guys know I'm a dynamic.
So what?
There's a
You're saying
dynamic
so?
in me.
So
I
wait,
like exploration. I like space exploration because in space exploration, from my opinion, I think you can find certain maybe materials or certain things that you can find in space that we can utilize on Earth, or even space, like certain planets and the moon itself. Maybe one day people want to live there. Who knows? I know that there's a reason why we're going to space, but I'm saying that there's so much problems here that we're avoiding, that our money that we're paying for as hard-earned citizens, we need to reallocate it so
But
that
see-
we don't.
but when you say
Johnny, that to me,
reallocate, that
that's-
means eliminating space exploration to do it.
No,
Well,
it doesn't.
Rob gave an
No, it
alternative
doesn't, because
about.
this gets back to the crux of my question.
Okay.
Because if India is doing it for a fraction
Thank you.
of the cost, that is investment from the
You don't need to
taxpayer
spend.
that is then being diverted to other sources. Because even if they're spending $250,000 versus $13 billion, there's a lot that you can accomplish with your infrastructure and capital projects with $13 billion. So,
Or even if you need to raise
Wait a
funds
minute.
outsourcing it, that's a part of the option too. There's rich billionaires that are
All right.
going under the water. They'll go in space.
All right, so let me get into it then. So let me get into it. So
Get into it.
as you guys know, in a former life, I worked at NASA. so,
Yes.
so no longer work there, but I worked at NASA. So let's
Yep.
first start off with labor costs in India, significantly lower than the U.S. So it's not just about labor, it's infrastructure, materials, technology, all that plays a simple role. So yeah, trying to compare the cost of is like, comparing the cost of building a house in the suburbs to building a skyscraper in downtown Manhattan. The costs are
Okay.
going to be
I
lower,
mean,
right? So
true. That's true.
then if we're talking success rate. First of all, you said, and I had to look this up real quick, you said 42 days it's going to take to get to the moon. The Artemis project will take 8 to 14 days. So clearly there's some cost cutting.
Now
I
you're,
mean,
but you're not. Now
So
you're
if we're
comparing
talking
apples to oranges.
if we're talking man
That's
to the
what I'm
compare it
moon,
to the Viper. Compare it to the Viper mission, not the Artemis, because the Artemis is a manned mission. So it does need to get there much quicker. So the lunar rover, compare it to the Viper. And the Viper mission is the one that was $435 million versus the $75 million.
Okay.
So even at that, $350 million is a lot of money that you can put into education.
well, you
healthcare,
brought up Artemis.
housing. Oh, I
I
just
mean,
brought it up.
you said comparing apples and oranges. You're the one who brought it up, so I'm saying
Hey,
I'm just
man.
comparing what you brought up.
It's a good point, but it's true. I think that there is a way you can still spend less on space travel while also implementing outsourcing. Like, that has to be a good alternative to it, because not everybody wants to spend their money on space. There's elderly that don't even care about any of that. Well, that's kind of ageist. But in general,
let's talk
there's people that
success
don't
rate.
care.
So while India's been successful launching cost-effective missions, not all of them have been successful. Their last one, Chandrayaan-2, faced significant setback when the lander crashed due to a software glitch.
And they identified the 3 key issues that caused the failure. They identified them. So let's be honest. How many rockets has the U.S. launched unsuccessfully in order to get what they did? India
That's where
is
I was
new to
going.
space exploration. They're new to it.
$75 million new, right? So that's why.
Okay, so
we don't even know if this was
$140
gonna be successful. It just launched, right?
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But then
Right.
the Chandrayaan-2 is 140 mil. Chandrayaan-3 is 75 mil. That's $215 million.
right.
Still half the cost of the Viper mission.
Okay. My next question then.
Wow.
So, and Kevin Thaxton says India is one of my new favorite spacefaring nations. But my question is, if you're taking a trip to the moon, are you doing on an India Space Airlines or are you taking NASA? Which one are you guys taking? NASA or Indian Space
neither.
Airlines? Oh, no,
Depends on how much my ticket is.
Johnny's not going to the moon. Johnny's like, fuck that.
I'm scared. You guys keep failing stuff. Every time you guys put a rocket up, it blows up. Well, not every time, but it's Rob was right. Like there's often it blows up. So I don't know, Neil.
No,
I
not,
think-
not
And then space shuttle.
whichever mission is using the most Canadian technology. How's that? Because we have a space program also.
which I think is an NASA actually utilizing. Because I think I
That's
met a
funny.
Canadian astronaut when I was there. So
Oh, wow.
yeah. So,
But
but
we
okay,
contribute significantly to what goes up.
yeah. And then they're offsetting costs by going private. So after the space shuttles, were decommissioned, they switched to private investments instead to
Good.
pay for some of the things.
Good.
So they focused on certain missions. And then, when we're talking, you said Artemis, right? I know you said this was an Artemis, but you brought up Artemis, so I'm gonna use it. That rocket is not only going to the moon; the rocket is intended to go to Mars and beyond. So that's why that's why they're spending so much money on that particular rocket. For that rocket, the moon is actually just a stopping point for Mars. So if we're comparing it, that's like comparing local bus service to like international airlines. You can't really compare. Okay, I might be all right. That might be a stretch. That might be a little bit of a stretch.
A bit of a stretch.
But my point is, while it's impressive that India's making strides in space exploration, and they're spending a lot less doing it. I don't know. Like you said, it's not quite apples. It's not apples to apples. So.
But do you agree with Rob's question that they should start outsourcing as opposed to taking?
They're already doing that. They're already
But only.
Only, no, absolutely not.
Why?
Because part of listen. So the reason, if you go back to the space race between the Soviet Union and the U.S., is we're trying to establish ourselves as the leader because that is the future. And the next country, that's why India, China, all the rest of them are getting involved in space exploration, is because it can help your country back home.
Established. Okay.
Right. I mean, all of the technology that's being developed, the United States had, after the space race, the United States had a huge increase in just technology. And I mean, we had a boom in economy and everything after the space race. So
The engineering and manufacturing required.
it was crazy how fast the U.S. moved from then. So there's a value to exploring space and being the first to getting there, and there's a huge value. So it's good for your country
Improved
to be.
avionics. When you find fuel efficiencies in the
almost like
rocket
an investment.
boosters, that gets incorporated into commercial airplanes down the line. So there are definitely benefits that come from all of the engineering required to go into space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all I'm saying
I like that
is
point. I like that.
I'm taking NASA Airlines over India Airlines. That's all.
You would.
Depends on the price
How
of the
about
ticket,
China
my friend.
Airlines?
I'm never not taking
Yeah.
China Airlines. Shoot,
Why
I'll fly
not
China
China?
Airlines. I'll fly
They're more
China
developed
Airlines
in the
before I
US
fly the US.
sometimes.
China Space
Yeah.
Airlines. I don't know. No, China. Yeah, I do it before India Airlines. That's for sure. Yeah, just only because they've been
I
doing it
mean-
longer.
I still like the US.
And Russian Airlines too. Shoot.
So one thing that I did find interesting, that there are Twitter trolls out there that are saying that the ISRO spent about $80 million producing a lunar rover landing movie.
Really?
What?
Okay.
Trolls going to be
So we
trolls.
can see it?
Trolls are going to be trolls.
Goodness gracious, that's ridiculous.
Stupid.
All right. So let's see. Any comments online? All right. No, just Kevin Thaxton. He says Tang. Oh, that's right.
Heck yes.
I
That's
forgot
where it
about
comes from.
Tang. I don't know if you remember Johnny Tang, the drink Tang.
Oh, I love Tang. I used to
And-
drink Tang.
And even astronaut meals, you can purchase astronaut meals now from different
Yeah,
manufacturers.
freeze dried
It's basically
meals.
just
Mhm.
What? Ew.
freeze dried meals. Oh yeah. Oh Johnny,
Ew.
try it. Like the freeze
Try
dried
it?
meals. Like the
You've never had
rations and
freeze-dried
stuff are
anything?
amazing.
No.
Oh my God,
What is
Gianni.
that even?
Try it.
Gianni.
You mean like the powder?
You need to
like the
come to.
powder?
You need to go to
No.
the Aerospace Museum in DC.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. Great stuff.
Okay. I'll try
And
it.
walk away with
I
your
gotta
ice
look.
cream and a little silver bag.
Yeah, yeah. All right, you know about that. Have you
Alright.
been there,
I'm sorry, I
Rob?
do.
Have you been there in
We
space?
have Science North. We have Science North here in Sudbury.
Okay,
When I was a
okay.
kid, I went to Cape Canaveral. When I was a kid, I remember going there. But I've always
Nice.
been fascinated by
Space.
space exploration, all the innovations that come with it, and yeah, like astronaut
Aw.
meals, like what? Food in a pouch, and it tastes. It's a paste that tastes like this. Amazing.
So you
Let's
went to
try
Cape
it.
Canaveral? That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I went there as an adult. I actually was on campus. I got to see the beaches and stuff. Man, it's like they got like, was it 40 miles of like pristine, unused beaches? Crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Beautiful.
All right. Is this truth,
Truth,
lies, shenanigans?
Well, this is absolutely true.
I mean, it's
Truth, my friends.
true,
Truth.
but it's true that the spending in the U.S. is appropriate, in my opinion.
Inappropriate.
I mean, okay,
most
having
people
worked at
would agree.
NASA, there's a lot of red tape in general, and you know, having worked or seen behind the
There could be
scenes,
some- So
Yeah.
there are some financial efficiencies that could be found at NASA.
there
is what
are.
you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
There
Okay.
are. Yes, you're absolutely correct. There are some efficiencies, and you're probably right that the Chandrayaan is exceptionally financially efficient, probably because they don't want to spend that much money, but they also do take, because of all of the failures, the lost space shuttles and all of the explosions, they do take a few extra steps, required steps to ensuring that they're safe. So,
Yeah.
just saying that there's a value to that. All right.
Good luck, India. Good luck.
Yeah.
I
good
know,
luck.
India. That's exciting. Aw.